David Knight with Infowars. We have breaking news. There's been a major shakeup at the White House, as Roger Stone predicted 3 days ago on Tuesday when he was on the Alex Jones radio show with Owen Schroyer and I. This is Reince Priebus being replaced by General John Kelly, who is Department of Homeland Security Secretary at the moment. Hours earlier today, Trump had talked about General Kelly as being one of our real stars, and now he is replacing Reince Priebus. He was one of the three names, as a matter of fact, that Roger Stone had mentioned as being candidates to replace Priebus. So we want to talk to Roger Stone. He's on the line with us right now. Get an idea from him as to what he thinks of General Kelly. He said he needed to look up some background information on General Kelly. Of course, he was very strong in terms of administrative ability, but he wanted to see what policies he might be bringing to the White House, because the White House Chief of Staff is a very important person. Number two to the president, a strong advisor to the president, and also maybe who Roger Stone thinks might replace Kelly at Homeland Security, if he has any idea of that. So joining us now is Roger Stone. Roger, welcome.
David, great to be with you. I would be remiss if I did not point out that Infowars was the first media outlet in the world to report that General John Kelly was under consideration for the position of White House Chief of Staff.
Yes.
And we're very proud of the fact that we broke that news at Infowars. Based on everything I can learn, I think it's a strong selection, putting aside General Kelly's advocacy of the drug war as the only matter I can find to criticize him about. He has done a good job at Homeland Security, but above all, David, he is not a leaker. Mm-hmm. He will not leak against the best interest of the President of the United States. He's a loyal, solid man with a solid record of loyalty. I know the President is very impressed with the job he's done at Homeland Security, and I think overall it's a solid choice.
Yeah, very good. Who do you think may replace him? Is there any indication as to who might replace General Kelly at Homeland Security?
I don't have any report on that, but very clearly this is a clear-cut victory for Anthony Scaramucci, who went to the White House with the stated goal of removing Reince Priebus and the Republican National Committee leakers who have really bedeviled this administration.
Yeah.
It has been detrimental. First, as you'll recall, that Katie Walsh, the deputy chief of staff to Priebus, was caught leaking and fired. Then when Scaramucci, a Trump loyalist and friend of the show at Infowars, came in as director of communications, that caused Sean Spicer, right-hand man to Priebus, to tender his resignation, which the president accepted. And now Priebus himself is gone. This is the house cleaning we have called for at some time. And I think it will really help the administration refocus a new discipline on their reform agenda without the reprehensible leaks of the Republican insiders who seem only be interested in aggrandizing themselves and sucking up to liberal mainstream media reporters for their own edification and glorification.
Roger, I want to ask you, because we've had an unusual situation from the very beginning here in the Trump White House, because we had duties split between Priebus and between Steve Bannon, kind of a co-White House chief of staff. Unusual situation. What's the situation with Bannon now that we have General Kelly in, a strong individual in the position of White House chief of staff?
Well, this is a solid defeat for Bannon for reasons that I have a hard time understanding, because I like Steve Bannon and I'm probably closer to his worldview in terms of his opposition to the globalists and the neocons. But Bannon had cast his lot with Priebus, and they had a working alliance. Bannon was a major factor in keeping Scaramucci out of the White House and smearing Scaramucci, because the president suggested Scaramucci sell his very successful hedge fund company in order to join the White House staff. Once Scaramucci sold his company, Priebus and the White House counsel put out the word that there was something untoward or shady about that transaction, even though the very best white shoe business lawyers in New York said that that was not the case. So this is a defeat for Bannon, and I would predict to you that General McMaster and Bannon will be next out the door.
Interesting. Even before Attorney General Sessions, you think?
It appears that way. I mean, Sessions can save himself. He needs to indict Susan Rice, James Clapper, John Brennan, Admiral Rogers, Valerie Jarrett, and Barack Obama. He can save himself if he will do that.
Yes.
He has in the FISA court rendering everything he needs for the grand jury. Nothing else is required. I've talked to 2 former U.S. attorneys in the last 72 hours who both tell me it's a slam dunk, that the FISA court report was so definitive that an indictment could be easily obtained. Bill and Hillary Clinton need to be indicted. It's not a complicated case. It's a simple case. These people would steal a hot stove, David.
Yeah, and let's just review, Roger, what they're saying here. This is the FISA court. This is not a political source. This is not an anonymous source, the New York Times and Washington Post. But the FISA court accused the NSA and the FBI of violating the law and of violating the Constitution. And when they come out and make that accusation that broadly across these 2 organizations, that also points the gun at Barack Obama, shows that it is a systemic issue of that administration.
Well, I mean, to coin a phrase, what did the president know and when did he know it?
Exactly.
Hard to believe that his administration was surveilling tens of thousands of Americans, including yours truly, for the express purpose of political surveillance. This wasn't done over the fact that any of those under surveillance were suspicious of subversion. They were quite simply being harassed and surveilled for strictly political purposes.
Yes, yes. And that's something we should all be very concerned about when we see the vast powers that have been vested in the surveillance state. To see those powers then being used against political enemies, that is something that should scare every American. This is far worse than anything we've ever seen any president accused of in the past. And again, as you pointed out, it's Barack Obama as well as those underneath him who need to be indicted by the Attorney General Jeff Sessions.
Absolutely. And therefore, I think that he can save himself.
Well, that'd be interesting. You know, to underscore what you said earlier about Reince Priebus, the firing of Michael Short, I was not aware of it until people were talking about Michael Short, saying that he had quit the Trump campaign, had just left his resignation on his laptop and left it open and just walked away. And nobody had ever seen him again until Priebus brought him in as the superior to many of the people who were in the communications department and elsewhere. And there was, what is going on with this? That, to me, indicated that there was a lack of loyalty, not being on the same page with Donald Trump and the Trump administration, let alone his agenda with Priebus. So hopefully that will change with General Kelly.
I'm hopeful that that's correct, David.
Let me ask you, you said in terms of issues like the drug war, you didn't see anything that was a warning sign with that. Do you expect that foreign policy in terms of things like Syria is going to change with General Kelly? Do you have any sense yet of where he is on regime change and issues like that?
See, I think General Kelly understands his job is not to set policy. That's not the job of the White House Chief of Staff. His job is to carry out policy. Mm-hmm. And I think he, unlike Priebus, who considered himself some kind of strategist, he understands that. This is why I think he's going to be the perfect complement for the president.
That's
and why
great.
I think he's the right man for the job.
Yeah, that is an accurate statement of the job. And if he understands that's the parameters of the job, that would be a great thing. And of course, he certainly does, as a general, have the administrative skills. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Roger. And I appreciate the fact that you stopped in. I know you're limited on time. You're on your way to another venue. We're talking to Roger Stone, StoneColdTruth.com. And of course, he broke it here at Infowars first on Tuesday, giving us the name of the person that had 3 names of possible candidates. And of course, General Kelly is the one that Donald Trump has now chosen to replace Reince Priebus. Thank you so much for joining us, Roger.
Thank you, David.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to end this transmission. We're going to be back with an interview with Mike Cernovich as well as the nightly news. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
The Pentagon war planners have rightfully said that 90% of modern warfare is informational. That's why it's more important than ever that all of you watching subscribe on YouTube, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter at Real Alex Jones, because Infowars is the front line of the fight. And without your help and support, we will fail. With your support and with your prayers, we will be victorious against the globalists together.
There is much speculation after the firing of Sean Spicer about the fate of White House Chief of Staff Reince Priebus. First of all, the president deserves kudos, in my opinion, for the appointment of Sarah Huckabee Sanders as his chief spokeswoman and the White House press secretary. This is a strong appointment. She's been doing a much better job defending the president and speaking on his behalf than Spicer, and in my view, she well deserves the job. So congratulations to Sarah Huckabee Sanders. In the meantime, however, it appears that there is a three-way decision that the president has before him regarding the White House Chief of Staff. On this list are David Urban, a decorated veteran, a former Chief of Staff on Capitol Hill, to U.S. Senator Arlen Specter, but nonetheless, a hardline Trump loyalist who ran the nuts and bolts campaign on the ground in Pennsylvania, someone the president knows well, and someone who has both administrative skills and political skills. Urban was the administrative assistant to perhaps the meanest, toughest, smartest, and most difficult member of the U.S. Senate, Arlen Specter. This does not in any way reflect the politics of Urban himself, who is a solid Trumpite from the beginning, and in my view, responsible for the historical win in Pennsylvania. Also, unbelievably, in the running is Dina Habib Powell. She is a former member of the George W. Bush White House staff, a certified globalist. Her best friends, Valerie Jarrett, also Huma Abedin, and then, of course, Condi Rice. She was very successful in squeezing Rick Grenell, another key Trump supporter, out of the position of NATO ambassador, delivering that to former Texas Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison, a certified Trump hater, a never Trumper who had nothing good to say about candidate Trump during the election. And then also a wild card, and you'll be hearing this first at Infowars, General John Kelly, currently the head of Homeland Security, is also in contention for the position of White House Chief of Staff. Researching Kelly, the first thing that pops up is his status as an unreconstructed drug warrior, someone who agrees with Jeff Sessions on the question of refiring up the failed, expensive, and I think proven disaster that was the war on drugs, first initiated by my mentor, Richard Nixon. It is hard to determine, with Kelly's military background, whether he is in fact a globalist, and we're researching that. But in the meantime, it's very important that the president understand that his next administrative assistant, his next chief of staff, should be someone with both administrative skills, but also political skills. General Kelly, without any question, has administrative skills, but that does not speak to his understanding of the core Trump constituency that won the election and is sustaining the president now as he tries to govern in the face of a mainstream media onslaught that is unrelenting. So there you have it, Urban, Habib Powell, or General John Kelly. This is, again, an Infowars exclusive.
In the last week of July, we are offering the biggest sales of the year. We're extending free shipping until the end of the month and expanding discounts of up to 60+% off on incredibly high-quality supplements and nutraceuticals at InfoWarsLife.com. Our top-of-the-line colloidal silver bullet, is only $9.95. That's 66% off retail price and way lower what you're going to find from comparable brands in major stores. Then we've got our Super Silver Oral Care package at 50% off. We've never offered a deal this good. This trio includes Silver Bullet Colloidal Silver, Super Blue high-quality fluoride-free toothpaste, and an electrical high-quality toothbrush that's impregnated with colloidal silver, all for 50% off the regular price. When it comes to gravity-fed filters that cut out all the garbage, ProPure is the best, and we've got a whopping 30% off on the ProPure Traveler for only this week as well. Alexa Pure Breeze is 25% off the already low price. We haven't offered this deal in over a year. The Alexa Pure Breeze has been a game changer since it came out 2 years ago. Comparable units cost as much as $800. This unit isn't even a third of that price, and it's discounted right now at InfoWarsStore.com. Vitamin Mineral Fusion with amino acids is 33% off the regular price. And again, there's free shipping on top of all of this, but only for the last week of July. Knockout, our proprietary sleep aid that fuses 9 known compounds from Mother Nature, is a whopping 50% off right now, but again, only for 1 more week. It's got L-tryptophan, it's got melatonin, it's got valerian root, and more. Normally, 1 bottle of melatonin, just as strong as the melatonin in this bottle, is the same price or more. Prostagard is 33% off as well. Leading competitors that don't even have as much Saw Palmetto are up to $50 a bottle. It's $19.95 right now, and it's not just Saw Palmetto. It's fused with other compounds that are known to be associated with overall better prostate health. The Paul Watson coffee and tea mugs are 33% off as well. Conservatism is the new counterculture. And now introducing, new to the Infowars store, our new Strawberry Caveman Bone Broth formula with turmeric, bee pollen, chaga mushroom, and so much more. If you thought the chocolate tasted great, wait till you try the strawberry. And of course, there's also 25% off out of the gates on the new formulation of Caveman. You can also get 25% off when you get the strawberry flavored Caveman with the chocolate Caveman. And don't forget, there's an additional 10% off on top of all of that when you sign up for anything on auto ship at InfoWarsStore.com. So it's a true 360 win. The globalists have been striking back against independent media that's attempting to build an open free society. But despite all their attacks, all their demonizations, and their attempts to take our sponsors and shut us down, you, the viewers and listeners of Infowars, have come through. And so we're able to maintain our position and begin to expand it in the face of the globalists. Ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you that you are the Infowar, that's not me being patronizing. You are the reason we're here. When you spread articles, when you spread videos, when you pray for us, when you financially support us, and in turn get high quality products that make your life better, it is a true symbiotic relationship, or as I say, a total 360 win. So in the month of July, we've had some big specials, and a lot of the products that we were having as specials have sold out. That's why in the last week of July, I'm going to offer specials on some new products and on some of our best-selling staples to you, the viewers. And on top of those specials, we're extending free shipping.